Yo, it is almost March 2023. And do you remember in January, I showed you this elaborate Notion setup that I created based on the 12-week year, and it was just going to enable me to crush my goals in the first 3 months of the year like a badass, like I see everybody else on YouTube who uses this format. And I had such high hopes, and spoiler alert, it completely failed. It flopped. I stopped using it. It did not do what it promised to do. And I'm not knocking the 12-week year. I think there's a lot of merit and it clearly works for some people. But in today's video, I'm going to walk through why it didn't work for me and show you how I'm actually evaluating the system so that I can take some awareness from it, move forward with something else that does work better for me, and not spiral into a pit of negativity and shame that my goals aren't going as expected. But before we get into the system itself and why it didn't work for me, I want to speak to something that really bothers me about productivity tools and productivity systems in general. The idea behind them is to help us be more efficient so that we can do the things we need to do and create more time and space in our lives to live, to be human beings instead of human doings all the time. I am all for that. I am all for creating more time just to live my life and be in a state of joy and express myself however I want to. That's all great. But herein lies the problem of these productivity tools and systems that promise to increase your effectiveness, your efficiency, and get you to your goals faster. I kind of want to call BS on it because when you think about it, especially in the context of the 12-week year, if you take a goal, let's say running a marathon, you can take a year to achieve that goal, or you can take 12 weeks to achieve that goal. But what you're not going to get away from is the amount of steps and work it's going to take in order to get there. So if you are somebody who has the capacity to run a marathon in 12 weeks, then awesome, like knock yourself out. But if you're a current couch potato and you try to run a marathon in 12 weeks, you're probably going to end up in the hospital. So my point there is when we think about getting to goals faster or being more efficient with our time and energy, sometimes a goal needs to take as long as it needs to take in order to happen. Weight loss, running a marathon, finding a husband, getting pregnant, having a baby, saving money for a down payment on a house. All of these things take time. And when we adopt these systems and structures and SMART goals where we have to have a defined end by a defined time, it puts unnecessary pressure on the entire process in order for it to happen in that time. When really so many of the goals we have in life, our true heart's desires, happen on their own time and in their own way. Yes, there's things that we can do about it. Absolutely, we can be more consistent and more intentional with our time in order to get to that goal faster or more efficiently. But at the end of the day, if we're not leaving room for nature to take its course or the universe to take action or a little magic to happen, then all we're doing is setting ourselves up for a feeling of extreme failure when we don't get ourselves to this goal in a fixed period of time. And this is exactly what happened to me when I picked up the 12-week year as a framework for reaching my 2023 goal, which is to achieve at least 6 figures of passive revenue in my business. And here's why it didn't work for me. Number one, it put pressure on me to achieve certain monetary goals in a certain amount of time. Now, I'm not saying that it is completely unnecessary to put timeframes around your goals. When you have a specific goal and you want to achieve it in a certain amount of time, it positions your brain to start seeing opportunities to get you there at that period of time. However, when we hold that outcome really tightly and assume that if it doesn't happen exactly the way we plan it to, then we failed, then that's a problem because at the end of the day, I can do everything in my power to achieve a goal, but not everything is going to be in my control. So that was the first problem I came up against when I took this very specific monetary goal and broke it into quarters, and then from there broke it into months. I did achieve my first month, but by the second month, I had completely gone off the rails. And I'll tell you why that happened. Because in month one, I scrambled to find every opportunity to create passive revenue in my business in order to hit my monetary goal for the month. And instead of focusing on what are the sustainable ways to make money, what are the assets I should be building, I was just trying to do everything I could to check the box and get the gold star and move on with month two. And when you come at a goal with that frame of mind, the energy is frenetic and unpredictable and not sustainable. So by the time it came to month 2, I had tapped out all the ideas I had in month 1, and I had to start from scratch thinking about what am I going to do this month in order to hit my very specific revenue goal. And you know what? I came up completely blank, which brings me to my second problem with the 12-week year. When you condense a goal into such a small period of time, you almost have to know exactly what the steps are you need to take in order to achieve the goal. And because I haven't yet achieved this goal in my business, I don't know which ways are going to work for me. So I'm just frenetically throwing spaghetti at the wall, and I'm not really taking much time to implement something, give it time to actually play through, then review it and see if it's actually making sense for my business or not. And when you give yourself such a short period of time to actually see how your strategies are rolling out, you have no time for reflection. And when you have no time for reflection, you have no time to implement intentional strategies that are actually going to work for you, your business, and your energy. So I know I'm talking about this in the context of business, but this is true of anything in life. Take weight loss, for example. When you put weight loss into a 12-week year framework, you might want to experiment with different behaviors and different ways of approaching weight loss in order to see what works best for you. But if you're constantly recycling your plans week after week, then you have no time to understand, does this actually work for my body? Does this work for my schedule and my lifestyle? Do I enjoy doing this? We just put ourselves on a faster hamster wheel, and I am so done with that. So for those of you who are like diehard fans of the 12-week year, I am sorry that I just pooped on your party. And let me be clear, there are a lot of redeeming qualities about that system that I'm going to move forward with, like the review cycles. I already do that in my life, but if you are not somebody who is taking time at the end of every week to review your progress of your goals, then you should absolutely do that, because that is how you figure out what works and what doesn't work, giving yourself the time and space to reflect on how far you've come. The other thing I love about the 12-week year is that it's very linear between goal and tasks that need to be done in order to achieve that goal. I love that structure, but again, we don't always know what the right tactics are in order to achieve a goal. So for me, it's really important to not condense time, because when you have ADHD, you already feel like you're behind all the time anyway. So anything that I do to accelerate that feeling just completely like throws off my nervous system, and then I spiral and I want to throw the goal out with the system. And that is where I need to pause and remind myself that you marry the goal, not the strategy. So with that said, I'm going to dial things back a bit, make them a little bit more chill, re-sparkleize it in order to make it a little bit more interesting, and just keep trucking forward. You know what? If I don't hit my goal by the end of the year, that very specific number, that's okay, because I know I'm going in the right direction. I'm learning a ton about myself, and I'm taking the time I need to build a business that is in integrity with who I am and aligned with my special blend of energy, which is the most important thing to me at the end of the day. So with that said, I'm curious to know how many of you are nodding your heads right now going, yes, I too jump from productivity system to productivity system, hoping that that next one is going to be the magic bullet that makes all of my dreams come true. And if that is you, are you willing to come along on this journey with me, where we're actually going to explore what works for us, what doesn't, and build the right system for our brains? In my next video, I'm going to share how I'm approaching March with a more ADHD-friendly mindset. So thanks for watching this video, guys, and I will see you in the next one.